And good morning, everyone. Welcome to another week of ESL Open Cup number 166, Americas, papi, Americas. It's been an entire week, but we are here. We are back with some lovely StarCraft, with actually some North American StarCraft, something that we don't actually get too much of in the Americas Weekly, funnily enough. And we have some players that we haven't casted in quite some time, but we have a very long history with. Let's go, Bobby, let's go, because spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Gresvan, we have the American Protoss player representing Apprentice Esports. It is Ruiyichi. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gresvan, we have the cheesiest American Zerg player out there, maybe even player, period. We have, representing Team Gosu, Reaper. Oh, un momento, por favor. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Oh god, so yeah, we do have a long history with these players. Reaper, of course, used to compete quite a bit in Battle of the Americas as well as Sparkling Tuna Cup, and did kind of gain a lot of notoriety for what we see here, going for these very aggressive plays, going for all-ins. Very rarely do I ever see Reaper go for a macro game, to be honest. He does stream occasionally, and at least on stream I have seen him play a bit of a longer game, but that isn't really what he kind of leans towards. It's not really his bread and butter. It's all about the aggression, Bobby. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, we have Ruiyichi, a very young player, a player that we used to cast back when he was Diamond, back in the day. Ruiyichi, like Oreo, like Starduck, is one of those players that we were able to see foster in our amateur tournaments, and then eventually go good enough to be GM. You love to see the boys, you know, kind of fly from the coop, take flight from the nest. You know how it is, bub. You know how it is. Anyway, the pool first opener was scouted, and as a result, we have a full wall off. We have our first zealot as well. We have our probe hold positioning the wall, and with these two zealots, we should be fine. We're not going to be losing any kind of gateways here. These lings are trying to find us around on one of these zealots, but the adept is out, and with the power of the adept, Ruiyichi is perfectly fine. A really good response here to a pool first opener, especially on Gresvan. Gresvan is, of course, the map that requires quite a bit of commitment to completely wall off, and there are some vulnerable aspects of this wall, but as we saw, you know, Ruiyichi, he is perfectly fine. Speaking of being perfectly fine, massive shout out to CJ Ral. Gracias, papi, gracias. Thank you so much for the bits. We appreciate all the support. Thank you, papi, thank you. As we are kicking things off here, the other thing I want to mention is this may be affecting you as well, but this tournament is starting 1 hour earlier than normal in a way. Daylight savings is upon us, and it is affecting us, and I literally got out of bed 5 minutes ago. Well, 5 minutes before the hour. I was not ready for such an early cast. Oh, well. Oh, we got this. We got this, papi. We got this. As we are getting underway. So far, we have a Stargate opener from the side of Ruiyichi. Everything's looking quite standard. Again, a great response to Reaper's initial opener. Meanwhile, Reaper has been transitioning. Look at, you know, Stabby on lists 3 of those lings. He made 10 in total, and he has been attempting to drone up as much as possible. So he did play gasless. He went, you know, he droned up his main, he got his natural, he's working his third. It took quite some time to actually get these gases at his natural, his first and second gas. Because of this, I wouldn't be surprised if he skips ling speed, just because of how late it is. It may be important for him to rush into a lair or rush into Roach Tech instead. So we'll see where he uses his first 100 gas. We now have it. And Reaper, actually does go into ling speed, but also throws down a Roach Horn at the same time. So he's just trying to be as safe as possible. Meanwhile, the first Oracle is dipping on in. We do see it running into a wall of queens, though. It does take a little bit of damage. There are no hull damage, only shields. But does back off and does confirm that gases have indeed been taken. It's not kind of any kind of weird build. What I love about this, though, from Reaper is that he did take the gases at the natural, so the gases in the main base have been hidden. So, again, Ruiyichi is still working with some incomplete information. Doesn't know how many gases have been taken until now. Now he knows, Poppy, as you have the second Oracle coming out. It looks like we're only going for a double Oracle opener, not a triple. So not the most committed here, and we'll see what can be done. We do have a stasis trap in the natural. No reaction! Ooh, a very late reaction there. It looks like 6 drones are going to get stasis at the same time. The Oracle on the right-hand side tried to dip on in and get even more damage, but no, the queens here were able to fend it off. Actually deal a little bit of hull damage, but all in all, very nicely done. Ruiyichi keeps his oracles alive and he stasis all those drones. Oh. And behind this, we can see the transition. We are going straight into a robotics bay from here, off of 2 bases. More gateways are being thrown down as well as the forge. Because of the forge and the bay, this shouldn't be a 2-base all-in. We should be seeing a third taken soon from Ruiyichi, but he is delaying his third in favor for all of this tech, which takes quite some time to get through. I'm a little bit surprised, actually. We have a prism on the way as well, so again, Ruiyichi is really prioritizing his own aggression and his capacity for aggression. Because of the prism coming out, it's possible that we don't see a third base, so we'll see. Okay, there we go. I was like, are we really just gonna bank up and go for all these warp ins? We don't even have that many gateways. There we go. There is that third. It is very late. We do see the Lings immediately here to try and deny it, but the Adepts are going to be able to protect it. It is very late, but thankfully he's up against Reaper, someone who isn't necessarily known for droning and for his economy. Reaper himself is still on 3 bases. He hasn't really taken a 4th yet. He is finally taking advantage of his gases, so his economy is in an okay position here, but it's not like Ruiyichi is being punished too hard for delaying his third for so long. Here we go, and now the first Colossi is coming out. Charge and +1 is going to be done soon. TM as well. We're still only working with 6 gateways, so nothing really to write home about. Enough to sustain an army. Nothing that really signifies a massive form of aggression here. I'm surprised we don't see a second forge, to be honest, especially since we are kind of just chilling back here and, you know, slowly saturating our third. We do see Reaper pushing up here this ramp. The Colossi is going to do great against these things, but the Roaches, they want the Colossus. They want it, Puppy. Oh, the Prism is here to save it, though, and Reaper, he gets punished for his dive. I understand that the Colossus looked a little bit juicy, but because of the Prism, the Colossus was perfectly fine. Oh. Nice Biles, though, in the retreat, but despite the nice Biles, it connects with Zealots, and Reaper is losing Roaches and Ravagers here as a result. We do see both Oracles dipping into the main base. 5 drones go down. Ruiyichi, he has the economic advantage right now. We're almost even in workers. We are even in bases. This 4th base is late from Reaper, and now Ruiyichi has the momentum. Coming in once again, we just see a stasis trap in the main base. It looks like it actually will only get triggered by a single worker. We are pushing in here with 2 of these Colossi. Oh, one of them is being left behind. The Ruiyichi, a little bit of miscontrol. Nice force fields though, but the Roaches are getting on top of the Colossi. Can we save it? Ooh, the Colossus does not get saved. And we have 1 Colossus that's just staying out of this fight entirely. We need your help, Papi. We need you. Maybe we don't. No, we do. At the same time, we do see some Adepts going into the natural, and it looks like even though this Colossi wasn't a part of the fight, even though it was left behind, look at the damage that's been done. These Adepts on their own, 30 workers have gone down. Oh my god, Zealot's going for another run by the main armies, pushing on forward as well. Reaper is getting pulled apart. He's coming in for one last ditch effort. He wants to maybe try and focus down that Colossi. He gets the sentries, but this time the Prism Micro is there. This time the Colossi gets saved. Vials are going to be trying to connect with the Prism, but there's only a single Ravager. Looks like Reaper will push Ruiyichi back for the time being, but look across the map. The Zealots and the Adepts have gotten out of control. 47 drones and counting. GG gets called, 48 in the end, and Ruiyichi takes game number 1. Ugh. GG. My heart bleeds a little bit. I got a lot of love for both of these players. They're both players that have been a part of the Ducklings history and been very supportive as well. You know, Reaper himself used to be very active in our channel, in our Twitch channel in years gone by, in our tournaments as well. So I want them both to do well, but alas, 'tis a sport, 'tis a bracket, 'tis single elimination. One must move on and one must get knocked down. Really solid play overall from Ruiyichi. Reaper, unfortunately, just a couple of missteps here and there. You know, because of how late the third base was, he wasn't very keen on expanding, but he also didn't scout the main, so didn't recognize how much tech was being thrown down and how few gateways there were. So Reaper, if he had scouted the main base of Ruiyichi, he would have been able to identify that he could get away with droning and he could get away with a faster fourth base. Alas, he had limited scouting information. All he saw was 2 bases, so he stayed on a low drone count, expecting like a big push that never came. And then because he made like all these links and roaches, he's like, I gotta do something with this. He attacks a third, and yeah, he pays the price for it. Oof. And now we're going into game numero 2. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Babylon, we have the American Protoss player representing Apprentice Esports. And I should probably add that here. There we go. Apprentice Esports. We have the American Protoss, Ruiyichi. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Babylon, we have his opponents, the, oh my god, going for a 12 pool. We have the American Zerg player representing Team Gosu. It is Reaper. So if you recall, game 1, he went for a pool first opener. Here in game 2, it is going to be a 12 pool, a lot more committed. Ruiyichi is going to go for a probe scout, confirm the lack of natural, and also confirm the pool timing. So Ruiyichi has all the information he needs, and he should be walling off. He should be pulling some probes as well. This map has a shorter rush distance, but as we can see, there's kind of a lot less to worry about. The choke or the entrance into the natural base is a little bit more narrow compared to the last game, as all the boys are being pulled. Oh my god. And this gets scattered by Ruiyichi. All he has to do is wall off and make sure he can wall off behind this. Oh my god, we do see Reaper disrupting this though. The probe almost goes down. The drones are already here. Ruiyichi desperately needs to wall off, but the drones are stopping him. Oh my god. Oh my god. He needs a pilot. He needs to wall off. Ah! And it looks like it may just not happen. The Zealot is here, but the drones can mineral walk past the Zealot. Another probe is going to go down. Everything has to be pulled. This is best case scenario here for Reaper. Is it going to be enough? The Zealot has arrived. The drone drilling isn't looking to be good enough for Ruiyichi. He loses a lot of workers there. 4 probes go down. 5 probes go down. The pylons are under threat, but a second Zealot is on the way. Oh, it's being chronoed out as we speak. Is a second Zealot even going to be enough? Oh, it gets surrounded immediately. It's going to be able to hold the line a little bit longer. And here we go. Ruiyichi comes in from behind. And it looks like Ruiyichi may just barely... Oh, God, it's so close. 13 workers lost on both sides. Ruiyichi is still mining a little bit, but he needs more minerals. And lings are cheaper than Zealots. But there's no mining. That's it. Reaper has 0 mining right now. Looking at the units tab, he has 8 lings. To be fair, that's a lot of lings. Oh, Reaper, yeah, he can still take this. Like, despite how good drone drilling you can have, Ruiyichi needed more money. He needed another Zealot. GG gets called. Reaper barely pulls it off, and he takes game number 2. Oh my god, the fact that he sent his like one initial like scouting drone or 2 like scouting-ish drones ahead of time just to make sure that Ruiyichi couldn't wall off was insane. That was so close. That was so clutch. Ruiyichi desperately trying to wall off there, and couldn't do it in the end. His drone drilling just wasn't up to par either. And unfortunately, I don't know if you noticed, but he was mining a little bit too much gas as well. Like the workers that he left in his main base weren't mining too efficiently. There's a world where maybe he could have gotten 100 minerals and maybe he could have made a third zealot. It's possible. It's possible. Regardless, GG. Well played. We're going to the ace match. Ugh. We are going all the way. Meanwhile, in the chat, I want to give a massive shout out to Atapia. Bienvenidos, Atapia. Hello, Kuro. And again, hello. Is it C Growl? CG Growl? Thank you. Thank you. Alright, here we go. We are going into the ace match, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the American Brodals player representing Apprentice Esports. It is Ruiyichi. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, going for the 12 pool, 2 games in a row, we have the American Zerg player. He was trying to fight against his inner nature, his inner ape. But now he knows better. Now he knows what he's good at. The American Zerg player representing Team Gosu, it is Reaper. Once again, Ruiyichi is going for a probe scout, and he's going to be confirming, like a natural, should be going to the main, should be confirming the timing of the spawning pool soon. There we go. What's important is that this time Reaper doesn't have drones across the map. So even though it's a 12 pool, I don't think he's going to pull the boys with this, unlike the previous game. As I say that, the drones are selected. But there's a queen on the way. Okay. I was like, what's going on here, buddy? It's okay, it's okay. So we do have a queen on the way. Yes, we do have a natural that's being attempted to be taken here by Reaper as well. He is making his wave of lings and rushing across the map. So not as a committed variant, but still a very respectable amount of lings are coming, and Ruiyichi must respect this. There we go. We have a full wall off, we have a zealot on the way, we have a probe on hold position on the low ground as well. It has to get in, there we go, it has to get in position, and we should be fine against this. Now, Reaper, ideally, he breaks through and he gets damage done, but he should be focusing on some of the weakened or kind of more exposed aspects of this wall. There we go, he goes and opts to go for the gateway. Is it gonna go down? It shouldn't, but oh my god! We see a surround. Ooh, barely gets out of that. Ruiyichi has to be very careful with this zealot. He cannot allow it to get surrounded. But there we go, now we have a second zealot, and Ruiyichi should be perfectly fine here. There we go, he throws down his expansion. He knows that the aggression has subsided. Adept is on the way as well, and these things are going to be able to do some damage. Reaper has to make sure he doesn't throw these away. Like, these lings are the only thing keeping him alive from a counterattack, because he just forced 2 zealots and an adept out of the Brodals player, out of Ruiyichi. And if Ruiyichi sends us across the map, if Reaper had lost too many lings, then he would be forced to make even more lings, which means he would have even less drones, and he doesn't have a lot of workers because of the 12 pool to begin with, and Reaper would be in a lot of trouble. So nice control overall. He only lost a single ling, so he is safe, definitely for the time being, and the game can progress as normal from here. We're just droning, we're getting our third base. Once again, Reaper is going gasless for as long as he can. Now he's taking 2 gases at once to catch up. And this is kind of reminiscent to game number 1 in a way, where we can be seeing a Baneling Nest and even a Roach Warren. Sorry, Baneling Nest? What? A Roach Warren and even Link Speed as a follow-up. I'm curious if he's still going to invest in Link Speed. There's some pros and cons to it. We'll see. That's the first 2 adepts are going to be at least feigning a shade across the map. We have a Twilight Council on the way. A Twilight Council opener. Interesting. This could go in a couple of different ways. We can go into DTs from here. We can go into Glaive Adepts as well. We haven't pulled out a gas. And we do have 2 gases. So I'm feeling Glaives. Oh, as we do see a Robo thrown down. So Oh, not Glaives. We're going into a different direction. We're going to Blink instead. Also, I was meant to say DP. I don't know why I said Glaives. Glaives would be if you pulled out. But we are going into Blink, which is odd. We don't see like these 2 base Blink Stalker openers much at all. This usually means it's going to be an all-in. We'll see how many gateways he throws down. That's going to be the kind of big question. The reason why I say all-in is that when the Protoss player expands to take a 3rd base, usually we need either Oracles to defend, hence Stargate openers, or Adepts, you know, a decent amount of Adepts. And I don't think we're going to be wanting to spend any gas on Adepts when we're making Blink. So I'm really curious to see how this all pans out. For the time being, there's the gateway explosion. I'm like, yo, we don't have that many gateways. And there they are. Ruiyichi is going to be staying on 2 bases. Oh my god, that's 5 gates in addition to the 2 we already have. 7 gates in total. It is a 2 base all in. And Reaper is doing his best to scout. And what's scary about this is that Reaper right now, he sees a lack of 3rd. And that should be ringing alarm bells. But if you remember how this series played out, in game number 1, Ruiyichi also stayed on 2 bases for an extended period of time, and in doing so, he was actually teching up. He wasn't going for an all-in, he was just being very greedy. He went up to a bay, he went up to a forge, he was working on all of his upgrades as well, so he was getting away with a lot. Here we go, Reaper, he morphs in, an Overseer, he sees Stalkers, and this should already be a bit of a red flag here. He is going to be preparing back at home. We have Lings on the way, Roaches as well. We do have the tools to defend, and thankfully Reaper didn't drone up too much. It's going to be all about the control. It's going to be all about the engagements. Creep is being spread. 24 Lings are on the way. We're morphing in some Ravagers as well. Reaper even canceling some of his buildings here just for more money, just for more resources. And Ruiyichi, he sees all this with his observer. He backs off. He respects this. He does have a prism. He backs off and he's taking a 3rd base. So even though he hyper invested into this push, I got a lot of respect for Reaper. It looks like he has recognized it's not going to work. He's like, Reaper is ready for this. I respect Reaper enough to know that he can pull off a good enough defense. I'm just going to harass a little bit. I'm going to take a 3rd. And this 3rd may be late. You know, Ruiyichi may not have the best economy to sustain this, and it's going to be a bit of a rough time, but he's going to do it anyway. So a lot of self-restraint here from Ruiyichi. We do see Reaper going for his counterattack, and again, he does have a lot of units to counterattack. Ruiyichi has to be very careful here. He has the sentries, he's got the force fields. Up, up, up! Oh, he does kind of cut the army in half, but the Lings flood on through anyway. The Blink Stalkers are able to avoid those biles. So far, a decent defense, but we still have a lot more Zerg where that came from, and Reaper is coming in with a massive counterattack. You forced me to make units? Well, sure, have those units. And it looks like, oh, it looks like Ruiyichi is going to be able to fend him off for the time being. The overcharge was popped, but it did go down. Immortal is out. Can it be saved? It can be. With the power of this Immortal, can he get on top of the Roaches? It looks like the Lings are being cleaned up. And as long as the micro is good enough, Ruiyichi should be able to push back the Roaches and Ravagers. That's exactly what he does. The power of the Immortal. Ruiyichi doesn't really lose too many workers here. He's lost only a single probe, because to be fair, the 3rd wasn't saturated. We do see Reaper's actually not stopping. He's continuing to flood Lings and Roaches. He smells blood. He's going for the kill move right now. He wants to end the game. And honestly, I think he can. Without shield batteries here to support, Ruiyichi just doesn't have the numbers that he needs. Lings are continuing to flood in, and Reaper is gaining more ground. He's getting on top of the army. It looks like it's a little bit too much, and that is why attempting to transition from an all-in is a difficult thing to do. Reaper takes down the army. He's going to be able to take down this 3rd base, and if he wants to, he can just contain his opponent to 2 bases. That's all he really needs to do. Oh! Almost loses that Immortal as well, and he wants more. He knows he can get more. Ooh. As the pylon gets biled down, the shield battery goes down again for the 2nd time. And it looks like, despite Ruiyichi's best efforts here, despite how dominant he looked in game number 1, the 12 pool is where Reaper thrives. GG gets called, and Reaper will take game number 3 and the series 2-1. See, Grail, hey! Thank you so much. Thank you so much. See Grail. Thank you. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. GG, well played. Reaper will be taking the first series here and moving on to the next round.